Hello and welcome back to module number 2. And in today we are going to dive into Python and to apply more application and understanding what is it entail. And so I'm going to start with the idea of how to run Python, and then I'm going to show you how to create a file that you can run on the Python, and then I'm going to go over different idea of data and data settings, and I hope that will give you understanding what is it entail. So let's start with the idea of the Python itself, and I'm going to, in order for me to start the use of the terminal as my base, and in order for me to do that, I need to the Unix terminal needs to recognize what you are looking for, and he will need to identify what type of Python he is running, because I have Python 2, Python 1. You don't need to. In your case, you started with a Python 3, so you need to identify the Python 3 is part of it. I will start with an example that is in the textbook that shows you how the Python works with regard to its terminal. And in this case, you need to type, and in understanding the type will generate how it will operate. And so in this case, he will not recognize 5. It will be mistake. So you need to revise the correct form of the code. And in this case, if I will ask, for example, I declare that P is equal 4 and 5, and X is equal not 5, but equal P. So now the Python code can go back to see what it is entail. And when I ask him what is the value of X, he will give me. And then what is the value of Y, he will outline what it is. So this is part of the environment that you're going to work. I know it's a little bit strange to compare to Office or to Adobe interface. This is a terminal-based application, and the power of it's because it's universal. So in this case, when your code will be transferable to any other machines that runs the Python. One thing that I want you to remember, and this is really important, that if you close the terminal, you will lose everything. So you will need to start again with the entire code in order for you to do that. I would like to determine or to show you that this is the foundation of the Unix machine. Unix machine is the first server that actually worked and allowed us to do that. And in order for me to apply this or to execute this, usually I will need to show what is the list of all the application that out there that allowed me to do that. So he recognized that I have application folder, I have creative cloud folder, I have desktop folder, music folder, Python folder, and as you can see, if you know me, I am very keen towards the R. So there is the Shiny R, the Shiny 1 and 2, and also the Python and what it is entail. Now I'm going to change the settings of my working environment, which means that I want it to understand what is it entail in order for me to work from the desktop. And so if I will work from that, now the entire settings of those files will be in the desktop. I'm already created a file called script1 or script2 under Python. And so in this case, I will say, how did I say print? As I said, print hello world. Or hello, it will display hello world, or I can show 2 plus 5 will equal 7, or welcome to the real Python, or welcome to real Python. Okay, this is part of what I can do, and this is part of, again, the same file I created my mistake, and this is how we usually apply, in this case, the Python in order for it to run. So in this case, I will ask the Python 3 to run the script .py, so he will have the directions how to apply to it, and if I will run it correctly, he will already understand that the file that I'm running is located on my desktop, and he will say, here it is, line 2, say hello world. So this is the structure that you need to be aware of, and the terminal that you're going to use. So let's start again, and I will show you how to run the Python and how to apply to it. And this is in general how to create the executable script. And again, the extension of the file, it says it's not doc or it's not txt, it's py. It stands for Python, and it is the recommending way for us to apply already script. So again, this is how it's been applied, and I can the idea here is that I can ask the execution, and the code for the execution is the exe file, and I will ask them specifically to the name of the file in order for us to execute it and to present it in the Python environment. So I lay out how to run the Python program, and you're going to create a lot of Python program. So I want you to set up your environment. Make sure that you know what environment you are working with, and by doing that, you can be able to create your own program and be able to apply. So you can also apply a script import from X, and again, this is another way for us to manipulate how the Python program will analyze our script in order for us to do that. One of the things that I highly recommend, filing name convention. Usually it has to end with a py, but it not has to always do that, and you can always apply txt in order for you to do that. Later on today, I'm going to talk about modules. As always, have the py extensions in order for us to apply that. What about comments? Are we allowed to add comments if we are going to add some notes for ourselves that we will remember? What about C and C++ comment? It doesn't support the C and C++ comments because Python has its own type. So what we are going to talk about today, we are going to talk about data types, we are going to talk about control flows, we are going to talk about classes, functions, and module, and hands-on exercise. Okay, I will try to get into the exercise. I cannot promise. It's based on the text itself that shows in that. I will try my best to apply not long sessions in the video, giving you more directions throughout the canvas. I will try my best. If it does not work, I will try to fix it for the next time. I do apologize, but this is the aim. So let's start with the syntax. So much of, if you are familiar with C, it's much similar to the C syntax. So missing operators is plus or minus. We are not usually use brackets, but I will show you an example of it. Different keywords, a lot of extra features. There's no no type declaration as we are accustomed to see. So what about types of numbers? So numbers is integers, floating points, and complex. We are going to talk about strings later on as I assign you in chapter number 2, and we're going to see that. Boolean are false or true, and it will accept that. So in this case, numbers. Usually the notation of operation is, again, you can mix up with the numbers. You can have letters inside, or we can apply that. You can have also the C style shifting and mask, where you're going to apply or to give annotation to it as you are familiar with it. If you're not, we will talk about that later on in the semester. The integer division, again, it's part of the idea and how it being displayed on it. And the idea of complex, again, you will need to type it. You cannot do copy and paste as you are accustomed to see or apply in Microsoft Office or Adobe Illustrator. So a string and format is I is equal 10, D is equal 3.14, S is equal I am a string, print as I can show you, and print new. You always have quotation in order for it to understand what it is. Variables do not need to declare, they need to be assigned. So there is no need to verify it or to execute it beforehand in order for you to do that. Not typed is friendly greeting equal hello world, else greeting is equal 12 multiplied by 2, and print greeting. Everything is a variable in the Python, so the function, modules, and classes are part of the terminology that we are going to repeat again and again throughout the semester. Reference to the semantic. Assignment manipulate reference. X equal Y does not make copy of Y. So again, this is part of what we are going to see and we are going to encounter in order for us to do that. It is very useful, but be aware. For example, if we will declare A is equal container that holds 1, 2, and 3, and B is equal A, and I'm going to say to the Python A dot append for print B, and he will display the opposite, even though we are making basically a copy of A. So this is something that I want you to be aware of, and I will try to point out things throughout the semester, but I want you to have a sense of what it is. Simple data operating, again, this is like C, and this is how the assignment is being used. You can always use the plus to concentrate string into it. So a string example is hello and the word world, and hello multiplied by 3 as example. Again, look at the quotation in that type. So when we are using simple data types, a triple quotation useful for multiple line string. So the idea here is that everything can be applied to a string as long as you have multiple quotation and as long as you are able to do that. Method of the string can be upper, lower, capitalized, and so on. And you can also have a list. Example, a container that holds number of other objects in a given order. For example, you can define a square brackets of a container that holds the value of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can ask for a print of 1, and he will say number 2. And if you can have some underline list, and he will say he will leave it as an empty bracket, and you can apply to it in order for you to do that. So again, I will talk about the word foo because it also appears in other applications such as open source R, and we will learn about that and we will apply. So again, this is just an introduction to the idea of a list and what does it entail, and how can we, for example, how can we slice the assignment. And so we can a slice of it and use example the delete a minus 1 in order for us to apply to it. A list of operation, again, this is what it will entail and how to apply that. There is a list of operation of the list and how it apply. Nest list is a list inside of it, so you need to have at least something that will work with it in order for it to do that. The S and the T example in order for us to apply. We can also create directories. And what is directory? It refers to a value through a key. Associate array. So like array indexed by a string. So unordered set of key value pair, and we can have a directory of name and a name of the person and a name is age and hello to a world, and we all can have all those type in order for us to create directory. And we can ask the Python to print some directory keys, and he will say foo because there is so much, and so this will be his answer. Method of in a directory, we can search based on keys, based on value, based on items, based on copy, based on update, and so on. We will work with that later on, but again, this is a part of the vocabulary that you will need to embed it, and the textbook cover that quite intensively, and I hope that my notes and my video will reinforce that idea. Key must be immutable. Key must be number, string, triples in order for it to be hold. The reason for hashing, fast lookup technique, and again, everything that the Python does can be reachable or searchable, and as a result, it has to be defined and qualified to it to be listed. Again, what is a tuple? A tuple is the order of the collection which cannot be modified once it's created. In other words, it is a special array, read-only array. So how does it works? So we have, for example, sorry, I'm going to highlight that. So we have, for example, T, and we can apply what it is in hold it and how to apply that. The operation in that type of function is the indexing, slicing, repetition, and the length, and so on. So list versus the tuple, there are common characteristics. Both store the object, both is area of sequence of the data type. What is the difference is that the tuple does not allow modification. So it's slightly faster, but it does not allow modification. Type of warp up, integer, floating points, complex list, and so on, dictionary, all of it, it's part of warp up, and this is what we always to do. Input is the idea of the raw data input as a string. So we can apply that in order for us to convert or to create. And so if the file is defined, and if it can be input as an input, we can, or output, we can define it in order for you to do that. The output and the open the file, read S is for read the whole file into one string, and S is equal then input that read N is for bytes. So we have option when we are going to create our own files. We have options of how to read the files, how to apply the files. For example, if you only want to read the entire file on as one string, you're going to say input.read, and if you want to it as a and bytes or as a returning list line string, those are the options. And the same goes to the output, how to open the file for writing, how to write the string S to the file, and how to manual close the file if you want to. Open and open the file and open function and file functions is part of the terminology that we are going to use. We did not talk yet about classes as a building object, instances as an object created from a template. A method is a function that part of the object and acts directly, and constructor is a special methods that create new instance. So what is an object? As in R, object is a data structure. It has a functions, which is the methods that it operates. For example, I can define a class or object as a method, and I can build on data structure based on this object through internal representation, which might be different. So in this case, there is the construct and there is the methods. I'm sorry that in my PowerPoint presentation it doesn't show so clear, so it usually has some idea of how they want to present things. Sorry about that. Sorry, and I will fix that so you will have a very clear of what it is entail. And so again, construct versus a method and how to apply to it. Using a class, again, you need to define the terminology to the Python, otherwise it will not understand what you are saying to it. And so this is part of the methodology of using a class and trying to point out what it is entail. We have also special methods. So all started with a 2 underscore. So you need to divide it. You can underscore, you can have operator overload. So everything have to be applied. We have control flow, if else, or if else and else, and all of that is part of how we apply, and we will look at that more closely next time. Just this is just a review of what we will cover, and control flow and how to do that. Okay, I'm going to stop here because my slides is almost I have 70, and I want to just make sure that we are in the same pace with regard to, sorry, I'm wrong page. I'm trying to find a reference that will be directly to you. So again, I'm going back to Python, and I'm going to use the Python as a secondary resources for you in order for you to apply. And the second chapter that I ask you to read, it's all about string and text. And so in this case, I'm going to use, and I'm going to share with you how to apply and how you're going to apply to it, the format of the string and how to apply to the string and how to match it. I'm going to give you an assignment on it. What I want you to show me that you are able to do that, you're going to create a screenshot of your Python interface, and you're going to post it on your blog, and you're going to write about that, about the string method format and methods and how it will look like, and discuss what it is entail. So this is it. I want you to keep on going through my PowerPoint presentation, and I hope I try not to go over 1 hour, which is quite a lot. And I hope you have questions, and if you do, please do not hesitate to ask. Until next time, have fun.